In 2025, your favorite zero-calorie soda might not be what you think. Coke. Zero and Diet Coke sit side by side on every shelf, identical in promise, but worlds apart in chemistry. They both claim to deliver that real Coke taste without the sugar, but what's actually inside that shiny black or silver can tells a different story. The truth? You've been drinking two entirely separate formulas, born from different ingredients, aimed at different people, and carrying risks that most consumers never read past the label to see. Because when you crack open that can, what you're really tasting isn't flavor, it's engineering. Decades of lab testing, market manipulation, and neurological design rolled into one cold sip that keeps you coming back without asking why. Diet Coke was built for one generation. Coke Zero was rebuilt for another. Both are marketed as healthier choices, but that illusion hides what's actually happening inside your body every time you drink them. Diet Coke, introduced in the early 1980s, was Coca-Cola's first sugar-free revolution. Its secret weapon was aspartame, a synthetic sweetener 200 times sweeter than sugar. Coke. Zero, launched 2 decades later, swapped the formula for a blend of aspartame and acesulfame potassium, designed to trick your tongue and brain into craving it more often. The labels look harmless, the calorie counts read zero, but these chemical cocktails don't stop working when the can is empty. Inside your body, those artificial sweeteners confuse your metabolism, trigger insulin spikes, and scramble your hunger signals. Studies from the NIH and Harvard School of Public Health have linked regular consumption of diet sodas to increased cravings, weight gain, and even insulin resistance. Yet both drinks are still marketed as better choices, playing on the idea that zero sugar means zero consequence. That's the illusion, because what's missing in calories is replaced with something more manipulative, neurochemistry that makes you think you're winning even as your body pays the price. So the next time you reach for that can, ask yourself, are you drinking a soda or a science experiment designed to keep you hooked? Because what's inside Coke Zero and Diet Coke might be more different and more dangerous than the label admits. They both promise sweetness without sugar, but behind the fizz, both Coke Zero and Diet Coke are built from chemical blueprints that would look more at home in a lab than a kitchen. Coca-Cola calls them sugar-free alternatives, but that label hides a cocktail of synthetic compounds, preservatives, and enhancers designed to imitate real flavor while keeping costs microscopic. Let's start with aspartame, the backbone of both drinks. It's made from 2 amino acids, phenylalanine and aspartic acid, bonded with methanol, a compound that turns into formaldehyde inside your body. While the FDA allows it in limited doses, independent studies have repeatedly questioned its long-term safety. Some research links chronic exposure to mood changes, migraines, and disrupted gut bacteria. Yet it remains the base note of Diet Coke's signature flavor profile. Coke Zero takes things further. Instead of relying solely on aspartame, it mixes in acesulfame potassium, or ACE-K. It's 200 times sweeter than sugar and resistant to heat, making it perfect for mass production and shelf life. But ACE-K has been flagged in animal studies for potential effects on thyroid function and the gut microbiome. The company defends it as safe within approved limits. Yet those limits don't consider how many zero-calorie products the average person now consumes each day. Then there's phosphoric acid, the same ingredient that gives both drinks their sharp tang and the ability to dissolve rust from metal. In small doses, it's considered safe. In repeated doses, it leaches calcium from your bones, slowly increasing your risk of osteoporosis and kidney stones. And when combined with caffeine, it accelerates calcium loss even faster. Add to that caramel color, which gives the drinks their iconic dark tone. What most people don't know is that this isn't the same caramel you make at home with sugar and butter. It's a chemical colorant produced by reacting sugars with ammonia and sulfites at high temperatures, creating a compound known as 4-MEI. California lists 4-MEI as a potential carcinogen, but Coca-Cola simply adjusts levels to stay just under the legal threshold, never truly removing it. Even the carbonation plays a role. The bubbles aren't just for sensation, they amplify acidity, enhance taste, and slightly numb the tongue to mask artificial flavors. It's chemistry disguised as refreshment. On paper, both drinks have nearly identical ingredients, but in practice, their formulas target different reactions. Diet Coke is sharper, more bitter, designed to feel light. Coke Zero is smoother, meant to imitate real Coca-Cola, engineered to trigger dopamine pathways similar to sugar itself. One makes you feel like you're avoiding temptation. The other convinces you that you never gave it up. This isn't soda. It's behavioral science in a can, a product designed to bypass logic and talk directly to your cravings. And the most dangerous part? You think you're in control. When Coca-Cola created Diet Coke, it wasn't selling a drink, it was selling a feeling, a sense of control, elegance, even discipline. The commercial showed women in offices and gyms holding a can with confidence, smiling like they'd outsmarted temptation. Coke Zero flipped that playbook. It was built for men, branded in black, pitched as the real taste of Coke without the guilt. Two nearly identical drinks, divided by color and psychology. What most people don't realize is that this division wasn't accidental. It was designed. Coca-Cola understood something about human behavior long before most of us did. If you give people two versions of the same thing, you can own both sides of the argument. Diet Coke became the responsible choice. Coke Zero became the rebellious one. And in that split, Coca-Cola captured everyone who ever felt guilty about sugar, calories, or health. But the deeper you look, the more disturbing it gets. Both products are built around one principle: addiction without awareness. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame and exposé don't satisfy your body's craving for sugar. They trick your brain into thinking sweetness is coming. But when real glucose doesn't follow, your body panics. Insulin still rises, hunger signals spike, and your brain demands another hit. The result is a feedback loop: craving, consumption, confusion, repeat. That loop is no accident. It's profit disguised as refreshment. Coca-Cola's internal marketing documents, revealed in lawsuits and investigations, show a clear pattern of targeting repeat consumers rather than casual drinkers. The goal wasn't satisfaction, it was dependency. Because unlike sugar, which has a natural limit, these synthetic sweeteners can bypass the brain's fullness signals, letting you drink endlessly without feeling done. It's a chemical relationship that looks harmless on paper, but plays out like a slow-motion addiction. Each can delivers a burst of caffeine to elevate mood, followed by dopamine triggered by sweetness, followed by a crash that drives you right back to the fridge. And because there's no sugar to blame, you feel like you're being healthy while your body fights invisible stress responses hour after hour. Coca-Cola knew this. That's why Coke Zero's slogan has changed more times than the recipe. Zero sugar, same taste. Real Coke taste, 0 calories. It's the new normal. The message morphs constantly to match the psychology of the moment. It isn't about flavor anymore. It's about control of the narrative, of perception, and ultimately, of you. They didn't need you to choose between Diet Coke and Coke Zero. They needed you to drink both, thinking you were making a different choice each time. Your body doesn't see a difference between Diet Coke and Coke Zero the way your mind does. It only sees chemicals. And when those chemicals start cycling through your system day after day, things begin to shift. Quietly, slowly, and almost invisibly. Artificial sweeteners don't behave like sugar. Your brain expects calories when it tastes sweetness. When that promise isn't kept, it starts to panic. Studies from the National Institutes of Health and the University of Texas have shown that this sweetness without energy confuses your body's insulin response. Over time, your pancreas still releases insulin, but there's no sugar to process, so blood sugar levels swing unpredictably. The result is increased hunger, erratic energy, and a higher risk of developing insulin resistance. You feel like you're cutting calories, but your metabolism thinks it's being starved and slows down to protect itself. Meanwhile, your gut microbiome, the network of bacteria that regulates digestion and even mood, starts to change. Aspartame and exposé have been found to reduce the diversity of gut flora, wiping out beneficial bacteria that help absorb nutrients. In their place, harder strains linked to inflammation begin to grow. That inflammation doesn't stay in your stomach. It travels through your bloodstream, contributing to joint pain, fatigue, and brain fog. And then there's the hormonal cost. Artificial sweeteners can alter leptin and ghrelin, the two hormones that tell you when to stop eating and when to start again. In short, they make your brain think you're always hungry. That's why people who drink diet sodas daily often find themselves craving snacks or sweets hours later. It's not willpower, it's chemistry hijacking your appetite. But the story doesn't stop with metabolism. Caffeine and phosphoric acid, both key ingredients, also play a long game against your body. Caffeine spikes cortisol, the stress hormone, which encourages fat storage around the midsection. Phosphoric acid pulls calcium from your bones, weakening them over time. And together, they create a feedback cycle. Stress leads to cravings, cravings lead to consumption, and consumption reinforces the stress response. What's worse is how these drinks affect your mood. The dopamine surge from sweetness gives you a temporary high, followed by a subtle crash. Your brain associates that crash with the need for another can, and before long, your body's reward system is synced to your soda habit. That's why quitting feels like withdrawal, because it is. You're not addicted to soda, you're addicted to the feeling it creates, and Coca-Cola designed it that way. Both Diet Coke and Coke Zero were engineered not to satisfy you, but to keep you reaching for more. Each sip reprograms the body a little further from balance, replacing natural hunger cues and energy rhythms with artificial ones. And it doesn't take much. 1 can a day is enough to start shifting metabolism markers within a few weeks. Yet it's marketed as harmless, a smarter choice, a better version of you. But when the better version leaves you tired, bloated, craving sugar, and reliant on caffeine to feel normal, something's wrong with the equation. Coca-Cola didn't just sell drinks, it sold identities. Diet Coke became the symbol of control and refinement. Coke Zero became the symbol of energy and modern rebellion. Both were lifestyle products first, beverages second. Every ad, every slogan, every celebrity endorsement was carefully built to link a can of carbonated chemicals to confidence, youth, and belonging. In the 1980s, Diet Coke launched with sleek commercials featuring office workers and supermodels. The message was simple. You could have everything: success, style, thinness, without the guilt of calories. That single word diet wasn't about health, it was about image. The silver can became shorthand for status, like a silent membership card in a club where appearance mattered more than nourishment. By the time Coke Zero arrived in the 2000s, the world had changed. Diet had started to sound feminine, even restrictive, so Coca-Cola dropped the word entirely. The can turned black, the branding louder, the fonts sharper. It wasn't marketed to women watching calories anymore, it was for men who wanted the Coke experience without the diet label. The drink was described as zero compromise. The psychology was genius. 2 drinks, 2 demographics, 1 company dominating both. Behind the advertising was neuroscience. Coca-Cola's internal research teams studied how sound, color, and carbonation affected perception. The pop of the can, the fizzing bubbles, the chill of condensation, all carefully tuned sensory cues to trigger anticipation and reward in your brain. In labs, they measured eye movement, saliva production, even brain waves, mapping how long it took for someone to crave a second sip. The result was a drink experience calibrated to feel addictive without being called addictive. Then came digital marketing. Social media campaigns turned Coke Zero into a symbol of hustle culture: quick, efficient, unstoppable. Diet Coke stayed anchored in nostalgia and aesthetics. Pastel lighting, influencers holding cans beside laptops, each audience fed a different insecurity. For one, it was productivity. For the other, it was perfection. And both delivered the same outcome: dependence wrapped in branding. Even the placement of the cans in stores is psychological. Coke Zero sits near energy drinks, Diet Coke near bottled water. One sells excitement, the other restraint. But both reinforce a single belief: that these are choices of identity, not ingredients. It's marketing alchemy. You're not choosing between 2 sodas. You're choosing how you want to see yourself. And Coca-Cola profits from both illusions. In 2025, a single can of Diet Coke or Coke Zero can cost over $3 in some cities. That's more than milk, more than bottled water, sometimes even more than small batch coffee. And yet, sales keep climbing. Why? Because Coca-Cola isn't just selling a beverage anymore. It's selling comfort, convenience wrapped in habit, nostalgia wrapped in caffeine. But behind that comfort is a quiet shift in value. Both drinks are cheaper to produce than ever before. The ingredients, synthetic sweeteners, caffeine extract, processed colorants, cost pennies per can. Yet retail prices have risen over 40% since 2019. Coca-Cola blames inflation, but the math doesn't lie. The cost isn't in the contents, it's in the marketing. Every commercial, every influencer post, every QR-coded promotion adds another layer of perceived worth, while the product itself remains the same. And here's where it gets darker. As prices rise, trust falls. In recent surveys, more than 1/3 of consumers said they don't fully believe what's on a soda label anymore. They've seen ingredients change quietly over time, artificial sweeteners swapped or renamed, caffeine levels adjusted without notice, and natural flavors stretched to mean anything a chemist can justify. Diet Coke once promised clarity. Coke Zero promised authenticity. Now both rely on ambiguity. Meanwhile, health professionals are warning that zero sugar has become a marketing loophole. These drinks might skip sugar, but they don't skip metabolic consequences. Studies show that frequent diet soda drinkers are at higher risk of metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, even without consuming real sugar. The illusion of safety keeps the consumption cycle going, especially among those trying to lose weight or cut calories. It's a paradox. The product built to symbolize health now quietly undermines it. And yet, Coca-Cola keeps raising the price. Limited edition cans, sleek packaging redesigns, collectible collaborations all create an aura of exclusivity around what was once a simple soda, a luxury habit disguised as self-care. You pay more, drink more, and get less. Less nourishment, less satisfaction, less transparency. And Coca-Cola knows exactly how far they can stretch that illusion before you notice. The irony? People are beginning to notice. Complaints about flavor changes, aftertaste, and stomach discomfort have grown louder online. Even loyal drinkers admit that the taste feels off compared to a few years ago. But like McDonald's with its shrinking portions, Coca-Cola bets on inertia. They count on you to keep grabbing that same can because it feels familiar, not because it's good. The flavor isn't evolving, it's eroding. Coca-Cola's newest ingredient isn't in the can, it's in the code. Every QR scan, loyalty reward, or vending machine refill feeds a database that knows when, where, and how often you drink. The more you interact, the more the system learns, building taste profiles, testing which slogans keep you coming back, and selling that data to ad partners who can nudge you with the next limited edition flavor. Behind the zero-calorie promise sits a full-calorie surveillance network disguised as convenience. The company's environmental story isn't cleaner. Coke Zero and Diet Coke together produce millions of plastic bottles a day, and while campaigns show recycling symbols and smiling beaches, less than 15% of that plastic is actually reused. The rest ends up in landfills or oceans, while Coca-Cola continues to market itself as sustainable. They call it progress, but it's profit dressed in green. And now the illusion is cracking. Health experts are sounding alarms, consumers are reading labels, and younger generations are abandoning diet sodas for water, tea, or nothing at all. What once symbolized control and rebellion has become a cautionary tale about manipulation. The truth is simple. Diet Coke and Coke Zero never existed to help you. They existed to own your habits. So the next time that cold can hisses open, remember you're not refreshing yourself, you're feeding a system. This video encourages awareness, not division. If today changed how you think, share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for the next deep dive.